Welcome, everyone. This is Jim Spora with ISSIP, the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals. And it's my pleasure today to get you introduced, the ISSIP community introduced to Rajeev Sharma, who is one of these amazing people who has gone from a world of academics into the startup world. And he has some very relevant insights to share with us about the future digital transformation of retail. And Rajiv, thank you so much for being part of our online event. And if you could just introduce yourself, who you are to the ISIP community, and then we can get into a little discussion about the future of retail.
Thank you, Jim. As you mentioned, I started the academic career at Penn State, actually University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and then at Penn State, where basically I used to run an AI center in computer vision and applying that to robotics and for developing human-computer interactions, like using gesture recognition and other things. And then at some point, a few years into my academic career, I started using and this was early 2000s, so when the computing was still not there yet. So we were doing a lot of real-time processing using very expensive, $100,000 hardware to do real-time processing of movements and things like that. And at some point, when the computing literally it was really tied to computing. When the computing became fast enough to see real time happening with a PC. That's when there was some interest, and I started exploring actually real world application of some of the technology that was developed at Penn State. And Penn State was very supportive in creating a spin-out company to explore that.
Yeah.
And long story, but eventually it was a solution looking for a problem. So basically, the obvious applications were in security, surveillance, and the
Mhm.
first application that we were thinking of is basically developing an advanced human-computer interfaces using where you could just interact using gestures and speech,
Mm.
which technologically it was successful, but we were probably too far ahead of our time at that time. So we explored an application which eventually turned out to be the right one, which is applying the AI technology to computer vision and AI technology to really do market research to optimize things at retail. And for the last 15 years, we have been kind of focused on taking and maturing the technology so that we can at least transform one aspect of physical retail where you're not guessing what's happening in your store. You're actually able to track and understand how shoppers respond to different things in your store.
Well,
And
that's amazing because I think a lot of people, when they think of the digital transformation of retail over the last 2 decades, it's online, buy everything online, your phone.
it's,
But as you were describing to me, local stores, the 7-Elevens, the grocery stores, they're proliferating. So there's still this very, very large and growing segment of physical retail. And it sounds like your solution is targeted at helping in that physical space.
a- absolutely. And ever since the online world came into the retail, everyone thought everything will be sold online. No one is going to shop physical stores. But that's not true. You go to any weekend in a shopping center, you see all the crowds of
Yes.
you don't get parking. Why people like to actually shop, in physical stores, but especially for things like day-to-day
Right.
grocery and convenience, um, people definitely do like to go. And I think over 90% of the sale in grocery and convenience and other industries still in physical stores.
Right.
So most of the retailers have some presence in the online, but the reality is that more than $1 trillion of goods are sold in physical stores, and therefore, that industry has been slow to adapt to
Yeah.
technology. And that's where a lot of the opportunity is to take some of the features and expectations that consumers have on from online world and try to see if that can be met in the physical world so that at least they can keep up with the sort of end customer, so to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
like in terms of experience and things like that.
So tell me a little more because I think, and probably a lot of the IZIP community is familiar with you go into a grocery store and you have the choice. Do I go through normal checkout, or do I use this, self-checkout, and certainly there's cameras and video analysis there, but help maybe us in the ISIP community understand a little bit more about the bigger picture of that customer analytics with video in a retail.
Absolutely. So you know, if you think of a grocery store, you come in and you spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on the nature of the trip, and so you navigate the store. You have to find products. You have to check out. So much of that process has not changed probably for the last 100 years, except for now the presence of different ways of checking out, so that maybe the line that used to be longer can be shorter. That was the hypothesis for that. But there's still a lot of opportunity in every aspect, every touch point as the shopper navigates the store, because there is a lot more choices today than 15
Right.
years, 20 years, 30 years back. And certainly the shopper that comes in is a lot more sophisticated. They're looking for healthy options. They're looking for organic or certain things. So just being able to find the products that you have and navigate the store in a way that you like the experience, and certainly the checkout. So all of the in-store experiences right now is driven by sort of gut feeling, and at least in the past used to be gut feeling. Okay, let's design this store like this. So there's no hard data or visibility or some systematic way to analyze that. Technologies like ours in a company, video mining, and other companies like that, the gap that they're filling in the transformation retail is providing the data in terms of like basically visibility into the shopping experience, so that you can at least look at how much people time are spending time, how are they navigating the store, how are they checking out, whether they like the self checkout or they don't like the self checkout, or other means of changing the retail store. So as retailers are sort of very tuned into trying to transform their stores to keep up with the shoppers and make the experiences better, AI technology, not just capturing the data, but also analyzing that using deep learning models to understand what's working, what's not working, what's the decision process of shoppers. All of that spectrum of decision making is where AI can help.
Absolutely. Well, I think this is a great preview of the upcoming panel. So thank you, Rajeev. I do have one last question for you. So if we have a lot of student members of ISIP, if you were going to give some advice to a student who's interested in getting into this area, what advice would you give them?
Well, I mean, there's always interesting areas, applications. Sometimes the one which is hottest, that gets the most news, may not be the ones that are the most interesting. There are some traditional industries that are still in need for transformation in AI. So look very broadly, and physical retail is still a very big area, and there are lots of needs for support, basically. And when you think of service,
Great,
it's not just
great.
manning the checkout. It's really about helping to transform the industry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rajeev. And I'll go ahead and stop the recording now and